Yes, again, you're welcome to your favorite channel on YouTube, which is With Chat. With Chat is a YouTube channel where we often try to highlight those topical issues, and we'll be doing that for several topics across the continent of Africa, North America, Europe, and in the other part of the world as well. Our previous videos have since been receiving a lot of engagement. We've been seeing videos amazing thousands of views, hundreds of comments. And all I just want to say is thank you for staying with this channel and helping the channel to grow. And please don't forget that you also need to inform your friends, introduce your friend to this channel so that we can continue to inform ourselves and engage ourselves with those topical issues. One of our videos, which we want to introduce to you or want to encourage you to go watch if you haven't done that, was the video we did pertaining to the population figure of Nigeria. So we commented on the population number of Nigeria, and the video has been generated over 4,000 views with almost 300 comments. Please, you need to watch that episode. Just go to YouTube and search for With Chat on YouTube, and you can see that video right there. Watch it and express your opinion regarding that particular topic. On this particular episode, still on the case of Nigeria, yeah, we are staying with Nigeria. So we'll be commenting on very topical issues, an issue that have been on the front burner on the lips of everyone or almost every Nigeria right now. And that has been the comment or the statement of President Donald Trump. So in the last few days, it's been a lot of discussion around that statement. About a few days ago, President Donald Trump first issued a statement on his social media called the Truth Media. And he actually called the attention of Nigeria and especially the government to what he said is the increasing killing of Christians in Nigeria. And he said hundreds or thousands of Christians have been killed in recent time in Nigeria. So he put that statement forward on the social media. And I think 2 days after that, he further even issued a very more stronger comment regarding that particular topic as well, by saying that he has further directed the Department of War, which is more like the Defense Department in the United States, to come up with plans on possible military action in Nigeria. So he did that. And just even yesterday or 2 days ago, precisely on Sunday, the 2nd of November 2025, President Trump again, that is the third time again he would do that. But on this occasion, he was being interviewed and he was being asked by journalists aboard his Air Force One. And President was asked if indeed he felt that the United States will be involved militarily in Nigeria or strike Nigeria militarily. And he said that can be ruled out as well. So this statement, action, and the concern expressed by President Donald Trump regarding Nigeria has since generated a lot of talks, analysis, and all the likes. And there are so many things to be talked on or to be discussed about regarding this particular issue. And people have also been saying or querying why the United States president or why the UX is particularly interested in this type of issue. People have asked why, what could have, angered the president or motivated him or prompted Donald Trump. And there have been a lot of conspiracy theories around why. And that's just one of the things about when there are critical issues. We often find ourselves in a situation where people theorize all kind of conspiracies Just even this morning, I heard someone saying that Donald Trump was angry with President Tinubu because Tinubu was among the people who raised funds to support the failed presidential ambition of Kamala Harris, which Democratic presidential candidate who ran alongside or in the opposing side of Donald Trump. So those are the things, and of course, peculiar to politicians in Nigeria, I've also heard politicians in Nigeria say, "Oh, it's about the next presidential election coming in 3 years' time. That is 2027. That the oppositions in Nigeria do not want President Tinubu, to win a re-election, and so they are doing everything possible. So to them, it's about politics as well. So there have been a lot of conspiracies about, why the president should be involved, why Donald Trump is involved in Nigeria situation. Why that might also be important to discuss why the president Donald Trump is involved, or why the United States is involved. I believe it's also important to know why they are involved in this. In the case of Nigeria, which President Donald Trump emphatically mentioned in his tweet, that the killing of Christians anywhere in the world is a concern to the United States, and they won't allow that. So if we all have to take that statement of Donald Trump to him, then we will just assume that the United States and President Donald Trump is worried that Christians in Nigeria or in other parts of the world are being killed, and they will not allow that. Of course, there are so many things, that we can argue if it's within the right of the United States to express such strong concern. And there are so many things to be talked about regarding that. But I think it might also be important that we also look at some of the things that President Trump actually mentioned in his tweet, or if we have to actually understand his message properly. His message properly was not specifically about there was no immediate military threat. He didn't express that the United States will immediately, strike or have it as a plan as it is now. Rather, what President Donald Trump expressed was that he wants the Nigerian government to solve that problem, to stop the killing. And he said, if that won't stop, he went further by saying the US will immediately stop aids and support, all kind of support to Nigeria. And that might also include the United States coming to directly attack the Islamic extremists who people believe are responsible for all the killings going on in Nigeria. So, but that message has been I perceive that the message has been misinterpreted in so many ways. Like I said, first, it wasn't a direct threat. There wasn't an indication of imminent strike from the United States or Nigeria. So as a matter of fact, it was more like a warning, more like, opening of eyes and try to get the world attention to what is happening in Nigeria. Of course, people will also debate if what is happening in Nigeria is even enough to be concerned about. But there are other things I actually want to comment on. And one of that is even to ask regarding the statement or the concern of President Donald Trump and the United States. Can we say that the United States has a right to be concerned, or do we say that what Donald Trump expressed is actually true? For me, I think it's one of the things that we actually need to talk about. And personally, if I'm to answer that question, if what Donald Trump expressed is actually true or not, personally, I would say it is true that Christians are being killed in Nigeria, because I'm a Nigerian. It is true that Christians are being killed in Nigeria. In hundreds, yes. In thousands, I could also as well say yes. It might not be true that there have been genocide against Christians in Nigeria, but the fact is that Christians are being killed in Nigeria, and it didn't start from now. But Also, people will also say that, is it true? Or people will further even query that also there are other group of people in Nigeria or religious group in Nigeria that have been also subject to threat. For instance, have Muslims been killed in hundreds and thousands in Nigeria? The answer is also yes. To be, I mean, if we really want to balance it, that is the truth. Christians are being killed, Muslims are being killed, even traditional worshippers are being killed across the length and breadth of the country. So the insecurity problem in Nigeria is a big issue. A big issue, not that it's even so big, it's threatening, and it threatens even the existence of our country. But the core element of Donald Trump is about the killing of Christians. And for me, if I'm to argue, if we're to say, it might not even be a good idea to compare which category of people have been killed more than the other. But if we are to look at the sporadic killings across the country, you tends to see that there seems to be a more targeted killings against Christians in Nigeria. And that is, it might not be, my statement might not be true, but I think I perceive that as well. And I think this is what is being perceived even across the world by the president of the United States. Because when you see, uh, for instance, just about 2 weeks ago, when you see um, Sharia law in Abuja, which is the capital of Nigeria, convicting a Christian. So when you see, for instance, a Christian young girl, Deborah, being killed and burned to death in Sokoto, for instance. So when you see worshippers being attacked, either in church or mosque, but specifically in across some of those Christians communities in Kaduna, in Benue, in Plateau states. So when you see some of these things, see the implementation of Sharia law, also targeting Christians in those northern countries. Those events, unfortunate events, sent a strong message to the international community that Christians' lives are seriously under threat in Nigeria. And that is a fact. And that is just a fact. And that buttress the contents or the elements of what Donald Trump expressed. Why people might query why Donald Trump is doing that right now, or why is it that he's against the presidency of Bola Ahmed Tinubu? I would say no. If we can trace back to Donald Trump's first term in office, which is about 5 years ago, and we balance that with what what we heard from the late President Buhari himself, who said Donald Trump personally invited him to Aso Rock. Late Buhari, President Buhari, was invited to Aso Rock, and he said that Donald Trump personally asked him a direct question that, you, President Buhari, why are you killing Christians? Why are you killing Christians in Nigeria? And he said, oh, he's not killing Christians. And he began to, try to argue his case personally, give instances of the fact that his driver is a Christian, he's the vice president, not just even a Christian. Professor Osibanjo wasn't just a Christian, but a pastor. So he argued his case. So what I'm just saying is that, so you can see that the interest of either the United States or President Donald Trump specifically regarding Christian threats to Christian life in Nigeria is not just an issue of today. So it's been an issue that has been in his mind. We don't know, possibly if there are people around him who possibly have very strong kind of sentiments, towards the Christian community in Nigeria. But the fact is that President Trump's perception about threats to Christian life in Nigeria is not now. And that is one of the things that I think the present government will actually needs to look into. And if only we can, look at the whole issue holistically, we'll see that, for me, I think it is a very, very good indication, and that an international community is bringing such a thing into public light. And what should the government do? What do we even expect from the government, which should be part of the strong conversation? And the first thing I think the government should even look at is to see this as an opportunity to begin to solve the problem, to tackle the insecurity problem in Nigeria. Because, like I said, Christians are being killed, Muslims are being killed, traditional worshippers are being killed, those who doesn't believe in any God are being killed. People are being killed in Nigeria. So I think the first thing the government should even do right now is to see this as an opportunity to tackle it with all sincerity, admitting that it's a serious issue that we have in Nigeria. Also, the government should also admit, because I think the government would also need to, especially President Tinubu, not even at the committee level, but at the presidential level, possibly meet with key religious leaders in Nigeria, like the Sultan of Sokoto, for instance, some of the Christian Association, Pentecostal Fellowship of Nigeria, the traditional worshiper leaders as well, have a sizable number of these people and have a very candid conversation with them. I think the president needs to do that as well. In doing that, for example, I will expect the Christian community to specifically point out, those killings, those targeted killings against Christians, like the woman evangelist that was killed on the street of Abuja. Like I said, like the young girl, Deborah, that was killed and burned to death in Sokoto, where Sultan of Sokoto resides. Like the implementation of Sharia law across a lot of those northern states, even affecting the Christians there. So I will expect the Khan or the Christian leaders to point that out, even to the president, because those are the things, those are the right conversation. They are very difficult, but I think those are the very valid conversation that need to be held regarding this issue. So from the Muslim community as well, the Sultan or the Islamic leaders need to also air their voice. They need to make known their grievances as well. Yeah, that need to be done. So in addition to government having such a high level meetings, I think the government at this point, I realized that the government just a week ago had just changed the security chiefs of the army, of the navy, of the air force in the country, and gave them, a marching order. So this marching order has always been given every time. But this time around, I think the government should go beyond just giving the marching order. Things that need to be done strictly and squarely. So there shouldn't be a room for excuse from these people. I believe the government can solve this problem. It is never a problem that cannot be surmounted by the Nigerian government. The issue of insecurity. The only thing that need is sincerity. We need to be sincere. First, Christians in the northern part of the country are really not free. Faces threats every day of their life, being killed, targetedly killed. So those are the conversations that need to be held. Because as much as we continue to record those targeted killings, either one or two, even in hundreds, like we see in Benue and in yours, then the perception will always be there in the international community. And we don't want what it's also good that we should remind ourselves that as a Nigeria that we have as a country, that we don't necessarily need military intervention. We don't need foreign intervention. And we don't want our case to be the case of Libya, for instance, of Syria, for instance, Somali, some of those failed states. But for us to be able to say, oh, we are not a failed state, our states cannot be compared with those of failed states, we need to sit up. The politicians need to sit up. They need to stop making all kind of conspiracies and politicizing the issue by saying, oh, this is about the politics of 2027. I think it's not. These politicians' lives are not on threat. They are not being threatened. Most of them, the children are not even residing in Nigeria. And that is why they care less. And that is why they talk loose. They don't even talk on those issues. They just gamble on those issues. So it is time for those issues to be addressed. Because we might say, for me personally, I think the US would not want to strike Nigeria, either to strike the Islamic militants. I guess the US wouldn't even want to be involved militarily in the first place. And I actually even believe that President Donald Trump, just as his message reads, simply want to use that opportunity to speak directly to the Nigerian government. More like a warning. But I really think he won't go to the length of having a military confrontation with Nigeria, which I believe the government of Nigeria also know that. And that is why one of the things the government of Nigeria needs to do is not to be confrontational in their response, in their arguments. Rather, the government of Nigeria should see the United States as, an ally that could be of a help in solving this serious problem. Because if the Nigerian government is not sitting up, is not showing that body language that they are willing to do it, or somehow, God forbid, we see maybe some kind of a confrontational responses or messages from the government, that will definitely send a very strong signal to the United States. And I want the government of Nigeria to learn from the case of the ex-Libyan leader, Muammar Gaddafi. Perhaps, I guess, Gaddafi never expected that the US government would strike his country. I guess if he had an opportunity to do something else, he would have done something different by not taking some of those warnings for granted. So, and I think that's what the government should do. One of the things that we didn't even, or we just didn't lay much emphasis on is even the content of one of the content of President Trump's message, which talk about immediately stop aid and support to Nigeria. We don't want Nigeria to be under any form of economic sanction or any form of sanction at all, because we can learn from Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe hasn't recovered from that today. So I think Nigerian government should be more careful in as much as we are sovereign, in as much as we are not being governed by the United States, but we should know that we now have an opportunity to tackle this issue. And I hope, which I believe President Tinubu is capable of doing, because he's also a Muslim and has a Muslim vice president. And I think it gives them more opportunity to even talk to the Muslim community and see a possible way of addressing this issue once and for all. May God continue to bless Nigeria and help our country. Thank you so much. Don't forget, it's your favorite YouTube channel, We Chat. Endeavor that you share this particular episode, share it among your network. Let's engage ourselves in the comment section. What is your opinion regarding President Donald Trump's message to Nigeria? What is your opinion regarding Nigeria's government's response? And what do you think about this video? I'm waiting for your comment to read your comments. Thank you so much. Stay tuned. We chat.